All right, let's dive into a really tough and honestly pretty tragic part of the law. We're talking about those situations where someone dies, but nobody actually meant for it to happen. So how in the world does a fatal mistake cross that line and turn into a serious crime? Well, let's break it down.
So here's the big question, right? Can you actually be charged with a crime? And I mean serious felony-level charges for a death you absolutely never intended to cause. It sounds kind of crazy, but the answer is a very clear yes. And the legal idea that makes it all possible, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
The legal name for this whole thing is criminally negligent homicide. And here's the key. It has nothing to do with being evil or wanting someone hurt. It's all about a massive failure of awareness. We're talking about failing to notice a huge, obvious, deadly risk that pretty much any ordinary person would have spotted and steered clear of. You know, this law is basically there to make sure we all meet a bare minimum standard of care for each other.
Okay, let's get into our first section here, because this is where everything really clicks into place. You got to be able to separate the idea of wanting something to happen from just being responsible for it happening.
And this right here is the absolute heart of it. The whole case isn't about what you were thinking, it's about what you should have been thinking. A prosecutor isn't trying to prove you knew about the danger, nope. They're arguing that your failure to even see the danger was so extreme, so out of line, that it actually became criminal. It all hinges on that one powerful phrase, you ought to have been aware. Now, to really get a handle on this, it's super helpful to see where it fits with other crimes you've probably heard of. Think of it like a ladder, or a spectrum of blame, what lawyers call culpability.
Okay, this comparison is absolutely crucial. With manslaughter, someone knows there's a deadly risk. They see the danger clear as day and they just blow it off. But with criminally negligent homicide, the person is completely oblivious. The crime isn't really about what they did, it's about what they failed to do, which was see the risk. It's that failure of perception itself that becomes the crime.
So check out this table. We're using Texas law here because it lays it out so clearly. You can really see the ladder I was talking about. At the very top, you've got murder. That's intentional. You take a step down, you get manslaughter. That's when you knew the risk but did it anyway. And then at the bottom, there's our topic, criminally negligent homicide. That's where you should have known. And look at the penalties. See how they get less severe as you go down? That's no accident. The punishment is tied directly to the person's level of awareness. Now, of course, the specifics can vary depending on where you are.
So this brings up the million-dollar question, right? Where is that line in the sand? I mean, we all make mistakes, so when does a mistake stop being just a tragic accident and become an actual crime? Well, the entire legal answer is wrapped up in this one phrase, gross deviation. And those two words are everything. We're not talking about a simple slip-up or a moment of carelessness. That might get you sued, but it's not a crime. No, for it to be criminal, your behavior has to be a huge departure from how a normal, everyday person would have acted.
Okay, that term gross deviation can feel a little abstract, so let's make it real. Think about this, leaving a loaded gun where a kid can find it. That's not a simple oops, it's a massive failure to see a screamingly obvious danger. Or what about backing up a huge truck without even looking when you know people are around? Or leaving an infant in a hot car? In every single one of these cases, the risk is so obvious, so in your face, that not seeing it is considered a gross deviation from just basic responsible behavior. So, if a prosecutor wants to convict someone of this, they've got a 3-point checklist they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. 1. Someone died. 2. The defendant's actions caused the death. Now, usually those first two are pretty straightforward. The real fight, the one where the entire case is won or lost, is almost always on number 3. Proving to a jury that the defendant's failure to see the risk really was that gross deviation.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about the consequences. If someone is actually found guilty of this, what happens? Let me tell you, the fallout is serious and absolutely life-changing.
First off, you have to understand this is not a slap on the wrist. It's a felony. Using Texas as our example again, it's classified as a state jail felony, and that comes with some very serious life-altering penalties. If you're convicted, you're looking at jail time. We're talking anywhere from 180 days, that's 6 months, all the way up to 2 full years in a state jail facility. Think about that. Even the minimum is half a year of your life gone. And that's just the jail time. On top of that, the court can hit you with a fine of up to $10,000. So when you add it all up, the jail time, the money, the felony record, the cost is just devastating. And remember, this is all for a death that no one ever wanted to happen.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. The crime, criminally negligent homicide. The mental state? It's not about what you knew, it's about missing a huge deadly risk that you really should have seen. The big difference from manslaughter? It's should have known instead of knew and ignored it. And the consequences? They're huge. A felony conviction and very real jail time.
And all of this brings us right back to where we started, to that really difficult question. Where do we, as a society, draw that line between a tragic accident and a crime that deserves punishment? As we've seen, the answer isn't simple. It all comes down to that very tough, very human judgment call about what someone really ought to have known.